Hey everybody, and welcome to day 2 of Coach's Corona vlog. Yesterday we did our first episode. We tried to do it on the computer. It was a little bit shaky. Today we have our trusted tripod. It's a little bit after sunset here, and we are off and running. So just to recap what we spoke about yesterday, to make sure everybody is on the same page. Yesterday we spoke about the importance of continuing to train. So there are a large number of individuals out there who are saying, well, my half Ironman is canceled or the bike racing season is canceled, so I'm just going to take 2 or 3 weeks off and do nothing and lay around and eat all the junk food and just binge watch Netflix. That is not what we want to do in a time like this. It is actually even more important for us to stay fit and healthy and to continue on the healthy habits that we should be doing every single day or have been doing. It is really important for us to continue to do this, especially in a time like this with this type of disease. Now, here's a couple things that I want to try and recap from yesterday. First thing is, we spoke about if you're a cyclist or triathlete or runner, now is a fantastic time to go back or to begin adding in strength training to your training regimen. A number of you are actually working from home, which is fantastic. Some of you are working regular hours. Some of you are working longer hours. So I had somebody yesterday email me and say, hey, you know what? I'm full with meetings from 9 to 6, and then I'm expected to get my regular work done on top of that. So they're working from 9 to 11, so longer days. Now, that's going to be an exception for some of you out there and others, those of you working in the healthcare, the EMTs, the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare professionals. First of all, thank you for being on the front lines. We wish you nothing but health and protection. You should have all the PPE equipment that you need, as well as health for you and your families, and thank you for working those extra shifts. You are highly valued and appreciated, and we would not be here without you, so thank you. As we look forward for those who are looking for training. And by the way, if you are working in the healthcare profession, the nutrition is extremely important. The sleep, whatever you can get, at least one REM cycle, hopefully, depending on where you are in the nation and what your shift is like. And if you can, staying with some type of training. Now, that's not going to mean that you're going to want to spend the energy on long endurance rides or high intensity, but doing so. Today what we're going to talk about, apologies for that, today what we're going to talk about is going to be getting you doing your strength training as you go through. A little bit of hiccup there with the network. But really important that what we're going to cover today is going to be, first we're going to answer a question from Chelsea, who asked about adding protein to her diet without adding massive amounts of calories. She's in lockdown right now, so she's looking for that nutrition side of things to maintain her lean muscle mass and keep fat from coming on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to build upon, rather, what we had yesterday with our 2020 tempo strength training, which will give you strength and conditioning. So we're going to talk about that, and two of you actually emailed me and said, hey, I don't have any weights at home. How am I supposed to do this? So we're going to show you how to do that when we're getting past the first part here. So Chelsea asked 2 days ago, actually, she asked, how do I add protein to my diet without going over in calories? Well, Chelsea, this is a great question, and this actually ties back to regular healthy eating habits that we want to be doing in general, and something that is, from what I believe, a cornerstone of the precision nutrition practice, and that is just good regular nutrition that you should have throughout the day. Now, what a lot of people may not realize about precision nutrition is it's teaching lifestyle. This is helping you, it's not giving you strict calorie intake. It really is. You can see the manual. I actually completed this thing, I think it was in 6 days. It's 600-page manual, comes with a workbook. But really, the precision nutrition approach is one of every dietitian and nutritionist out there. And by the way, nutritionists you need to be wary of. It's a whole other topic. But as you go through, we're going to need that later. As you go through and you're looking for a dietitian, or looking at your diet rather, you can work with a dietitian, or it can be as simple as this. When it comes to adding proteins to your diet, we can do this 2 ways. Number one is it can be real foods, which is ideal. So we're talking about lentils for vegetarians, tofu, you can do pea protein, you can do a number of different things as you go through. But the real important thing is that you're increasing the vitamins and minerals and the nutrient density as you go through. Now, the other side of things, if you're already getting 8 to 12 servings of fresh produce, so fruits and vegetables, it should be more vegetables, that a serving is the size of your fist, so that's one serving of fruits or vegetables. It's really important that you are looking at not going over with the calories. So Chelsea, this is what it sounds like you're asking. The way that we'd want to add it there is first is look at how much grains we're taking in, so rice or bread, anything like that, and we would dial that down a little bit, and we would increase maybe having some type of lentil powder or flour that we can add in. Now the other side of the equation would be that we could just simply look at adding a protein supplement, which is where we would use 1 to 2 scoops a day. Usually most supplements out there are going to add roughly 20 grams per scoop, 20 to 25, and that's something that we can easily do. And there's going to be, if you put it into water, about 120 calories. So for women, it's not going to put you too far over into the surplus. But really, those would be the two things. Now, we also need fats. There's a minimum that you need for daily for fats, and that should be for a healthy individual around 30 to 35 grams. For most people, that's going to vary. There's a sliding scale as you go through, but that's something that should occur naturally in your foods. And how would that occur? It could be through cheese. It could be through using olive oil while you're cooking, or avocado oil, or if you want coconut oil. I'm not such a huge fan of coconut oil, but 2 tablespoons of those healthy fats in a day are going to get you more than enough to be able to move forward. So tablespoons, that's the bigger spoon. Again, for specific recommendations, talk to a dietitian. But adding that protein to your diet, especially right now, is really important because protein helps keep you satiated or full a little bit longer. That's something I learned at the bariatric clinic as well as when I was going through powerlifting. And then the second part of it is getting those fruits and vegetables. So having high nutrient density foods in your diet right now is super important. Yes, we are stressed. And as we spoke a little bit about yesterday, the body doesn't differentiate between good stress and bad stress. There's just stress. So what we want is we want to continue to have our exercise so that we're giving the body small doses of regular stress that it can respond to positively, and that is the hormone response, cardiorespiratory response, the neuromuscular response, the metabolic response. All of these are being used and put into energy to move us forward and help us move better and build a little bit more. So that is really, really important. As we go through and you're looking at your nutrition, if you're stuck in a house, we're here in a 3-bedroom apartment, there's nothing fancy in here. We have kettlebells, 4 all the way up to 24 kilos in pairs, except for 16. We have bands, we have TRX, which we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow, but we're still kind of stuck inside. Now, what my wife and I are doing is every 2 or 3 days, we're trying to go in off-peak hours, so early in the morning or later in the evening, we're going on side streets for 10 or 15-minute walk to get outside of the house. You need to listen to what your governing body is telling you, what the government and the law enforcement are telling you. Some people are complete lockdown, you can't do anything. In that case, jump rope or jump in place or walk around the house. I saw a guy in Italy ran the equivalent of a marathon in his apartment, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Like, hopefully you didn't do that all at once, but that's pretty crazy. But it is important to keep moving, and we have to make sure that we are building ourselves. So as you go through and you're thinking about building your regular daily routine, and that's something we're going to talk about tomorrow, is the daily routine. We want to make sure we're putting in movement and exercise into that, and that we are making sure that you are keeping up with your fitness. So yesterday we spoke about 2020 tempo for lifting. So what is tempo? I cover this in my book, The Vortex Method, in great detail. I give you the top 5 different types of tempo that you should be thinking about as an endurance athlete. The book is over on Amazon. It's $10 for Kindle or $9.97 and $19.97 for print. It's a cheap buy-in. You get 3 different full year training programs that you can, 2 that you can do at home and 1 that you can do in the gym. The 2 at home, there's 2 options. One is with kettlebell and TRX, the other is with kettlebell and with bands. But as we had yesterday, 2 of you messaged me, or I should say emailed me, and said, this is great, the 2020 tempo of 2 seconds of eccentric or lowering, lengthening the muscle, and then no pause and 2 seconds to shorten the muscle or come up. So a squat, the 2020 would be coming down 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then keep going without a rest. Doing sets of 10 to 15. I would recommend starting with 3 to 4 rounds as you go. They're a lot harder than you think they are. So for the 2 of you who emailed me and those of you out there who don't have anything at home, this is where we can add, where we're fueling our mind and also able to move our body. And this is what I've had to done with quite a few of the professional basketball players that I work with, as well as one of the top mixed martial arts professionals in the world as well for his weight category. Doesn't have any weights at home. The basketball players are traveling. They don't have much at home because the team supplies it. They have a full facility. So what do we do? Well, first is during this time, it is really important for us to fuel our mind. So this is a great time for us to read. Now, not only do we want to read, but we also want to be very mindful of the environment. So what we have here is reusable bags. So this is from a local sushi joint that we really like. Now, if you don't have reusable bags, you can also use plastic bags. I would strongly recommend that you don't use them for the implication on the environment, but also because they're not going to have as much tensile strength and they're not going to be able to handle as much. Now, we have two bags that are exactly the same because what we're going to do is while we're fueling our mind, we're also going to use them as weights for our workouts. So let's go through a couple of books that I've read or that I'm rereading. I'll finish off with one that I'm going back to, I think the fourth or fifth time I finally bought the physical copy. But this is a fantastic time for you to fuel your mind, which most of us don't. We're watching Netflix. We're just burning through and becoming couch potatoes, which is not doing us any good. So here are some books that I would strongly recommend. Let's start with one that I really love, that I've been through a number of times. I actually had to buy a second copy because I wore the binding on the back out. And we're going to steal a quote of Sir Winston Churchill, who said, "We're only at the beginning of the beginning." And this is true with Corona right now. We are only at the beginning of the beginning. And I think this is being lost on a lot of people. People are saying, oh, we'll be out in 2 weeks. We don't know. Hopefully we will, but we're only at the beginning of the beginning. Sir Winston Churchill. So I really love the one, A Life by Martin Gilbert. Fantastic book. It is a thick read. As you can see, again, I went through this once. It is absolutely fantastic, well written, and I really love this. I think Sir Winston Churchill is one of the best leaders that we've had in the modern times. This is a fantastic book, and also just to skim and pull some stories. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this for weight. Now we're going to put this into our reusable bag, and we're going to use this, and we're going to fill this up with not only stuff to fuel our mind, but also fuel our workout. The second book that I'd recommend, that I've gone through a number of times, is The Garden of Gratitude. Now this is something that I think a lot of us may realize, or may not realize, how lucky we are. I was just sitting here thinking, waiting for things to settle outside. It was a really loud dump truck or garbage truck, a couple other workers out there working on the street. I was just thinking about how grateful I am to have the internet. And like, think about it. If this would have happened back in the mid-90s, what would we do all day? We would be reading, but how many people had a lot of books at home? You'd be rereading the same books, and it would be incredibly tough. Forget that. Think about the 1940s. We would be stuck inside. In the 1990s, we had cable. But the Garden of Gratitude, this is something I like to practice every single day. It's not easy. We all have days. For those of you who know my little bit of injury history, but this is something that I would strongly recommend you pick up as well. Great fuel for the mind and for the spirit. Next book is Think and Grow Rich. So entrepreneurs, coaches out there, this is a fantastic book. This is a classic. You can see I have really gone through this book and really marked it up. You can't see the pen on the thing, but you can see the highlights as we go through. This is a fantastic book if you're looking to get positive and stay positive. Those two. Coaches, also, Leading with the Heart by Coach K. This is a fantastic book. I started with this when I was basketball coaching. I've had this book digitally for a number of years. Finally picked up a hard copy. Strongly recommend. So now, with those 4 books, we've got about 3.5 kilos there. We're going to need a little bit more. So let's go to the heavyweights because we want about 10 kilos total. So the next one we're going to pick up, this isn't for everybody. This is Artificial Intelligence, literally the textbook by Russell and Norvig. This one is actually outdated by the time I got it. This is 1,100 and something pages of pure knowledge on how to work with artificial intelligence. So when I was working over at V, by Lifebeam, that's something I picked up. So that is going to give us, that's like 7 kilos now. So that's perfect. So this would be a good starting weight for those of you who haven't done strength training before. We can use it for goblet squats. We can also use it for deadlifts. But we are going to do 2 bags because we want to be able to do a little bit more 2-0-2-0 tempo. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep loading up here. So let's go to another one. This is kind of fun. It's a little bit lighter read. Tools of the Titans by Tim Ferriss. He has some fantastic interviews in here, all different types of life and work application here. So that's going to be our first book that goes in there. So think about this. We're pretty much rereading most of these. The only one out of these I haven't touched in the last week is Artificial Intelligence, because that's a thick read. Next book is one that is fantastic for endurance athletes, Magical Running by Bobby McGee. Now, Bobby McGee is one of the top running coaches in the world. He's really been working a lot with USA Triathlon. I cannot recommend this more than enough. I've lent this out numerous times. Actually, a number of copies have disappeared. Athletes love it so much they forget to return it, or they actually lose it. So it has the HVT LLC, and that is going to go in here. Next up, if you're a coach and you want to learn about the process of going through The Man Watching by about ants endurance, and this was written by Tim Crothers. Absolutely fantastic read, regardless of whether or not you like soccer or football, as it's called most of the world. Fantastic read, strongly recommend it. So that's going to go in here. All right, that's moving. Roar by Dr. Stacy Sims. Those of you who have known me for the last decade know since about 8 years ago, so 2012, I've been talking about how women need to train and fuel differently than men. Thankfully, Dr. Stacy Sims and Celine Yeager have been out there. This is a fantastic book, so I'd strongly recommend picking that up. And then lastly, what I would like to finish up with are some self-care and some finance books. We're just going to check here and see how we're doing on time. The battery's going to die on my phone, but Back Mechanic by Dr. Stuart McGill. This will help get you started in building your core. And then for what we have for right now, which I'm very looking forward to, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy and Rule Number 1 by Phil Town. I strongly recommend both of these books. They will help you understand that the market right now is an opportunity for us to be able to grow our money, not to be scared. So strongly recommend those. And that's going to put us at 6 kilos. And the last one, which I am rereading probably for the 5th or 6th time, is Master the Market Cycle by Howard Marks. Fantastic investing book and a really great read. So that's what we're going to use for our weights. We now have 2 bags that are about 7 kilos. So I'm going to finish up here because my battery is going to die on my phone, but here are your weights. So all we would do with these is essentially we would take these and we would use these for a goblet squat, holding them here. Remember the goblet squat, you want to have the elbows close to the body, down inside the knees, so this is going to be a wide stance, and we just do the 2-0-2-0 tempo that we spoke about yesterday. So if you want to learn more about the 2-0-2-0 tempo, you can watch yesterday's shake video because it was all hand done. My shoulders are looking kind of buff today. And remember that as you go through, it is important to stay active and to keep moving. So tune in tomorrow where my battery will be fully charged and we won't have to drop off just a little bit early. And I'll share with you a little bit more about the tempo lifts. I'd like to hear from you, so make sure you're subscribing. Comment down below over on the Facebook page or email me, Brodie, B as in boy, R-O-D as in dog, I-E at humanvortextraining.com, what you would like to hear in the coach's daily vlog as we go through the Corona of 2020. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys and gals tomorrow and to reading your comments and emails as we wrap up here. Thank you for tuning in, and don't be afraid to interact. I know that there's a little bit of stuff scripted as we go through, but these are going to be between 15 and 20 minutes, roughly between 10 and 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each day, 6 days a week except for Saturday, Shomer Shabbos. And that is why we don't do Saturday. It is very important to have that mental health day, to take a day off, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, it doesn't matter. Take one day off from work completely and allow yourself to be with your family, with yourself, with your meditation, your gratitude. So until next time, remember, train smarter, not harder. Like and subscribe down below. Share this video. Watch yesterday's video. Email me, message me your comments, and we'll talk to you soon. See you guys later. Take it easy, stay safe, wash your hands, 20 seconds. Check out the Facebook page for Human Vortex Training. I have a nice video on how to properly wash your hands. Ciao, take care.